Alright, so welcome back to my channel, you guys. I want to go ahead and do a video on all the makeup I've forgotten about. I have so much makeup in my collection, you guys. I can go ahead and buy something, put it in here, and completely forget about it. That's just how I am. So I want to go ahead and try these products out and see if I still love them or how I feel about them. To be honest, a lot of these products have been talked about in the past, but when something new comes out, we forget about the old stuff. So I just want to go ahead and see if I still like them or not. But if you want to stick around and see what they are, then go ahead and keep on watching. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to start off with is foundation, and I'm using the Milani 2-in-1 Perfect Foundation. This used to be like my favorite foundation back in the day, you guys, just because I love how it looks on my skin. But the reason why I think I stopped using it is because I'm a little bit too oily for this, and it kind of makes you look a little bit dewy throughout the day. But let me see if this is my shade, because this was such a long time ago when I bought this. It kind of matches still, but I really do love this formula. I love how it blends on the skin, so I'm just going to go ahead and dot this all over really quickly. So it's still blending really nicely into the skin, which is a good thing, because I don't know when I bought this. I think I bought it like a year ago, and it only has a year shelf life, so hopefully I don't break out, but we shall see. But I really like this shade on my skin because it just fits so perfectly. I don't know what it is, but my skin tone is so hard to find in drugstore. I struggle really hard, you guys. I usually go ahead and buy a shade up that's a little bit darker than my skin just to make it work. But my skin right now is looking really good. Alright, so moving on to concealer. I'm using the Naked Skin concealer in the shade Dark Golden. This used to be like everyone's favorite concealer back in the day, y'all. Like everyone used to use it all the time till Tarte Shape Tape came up, and then nobody used it anymore. Alright, so hopefully this is not too old. I've had it for about like 2.5 years now, so I don't know how it's gonna apply on the face. This shade, I will say one thing though, back in the day I never liked this shade. I felt like it was a little bit too neutral for me, and the next shade up was a little bit too dark, so they just needed like one more shade in the middle for me to go ahead and highlight with. So if they came out with one more shade, I would have loved it a little bit more. I just needed like a golden shade for my skin tone. But this concealer, I do remember it blended really nicely, but I don't remember if I liked it or not. I just bought it because everybody was talking about it. Alright, so let me go ahead and blend this out and see how it applies on my skin. So it's applying really well on the skin, but it just looks a little bit too light for my skin tone. And I do think it's old because it's not blended as well. It's a little bit sticky, but you know what, we'll just roll with that. But at the same time, it does give a little bit of coverage, but I do prefer my Tarte Shape Tape a little bit more because that has way more coverage and it's a little bit more matte than this concealer. Now I will say I do like the product, but I can see why I stopped using it. It just doesn't do anything special for me. I mean, it blends really well, but it just doesn't do anything like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to figure it out right now. Basically what I'm trying to say is it just doesn't do anything special for me, and that's why I think I stopped using it. Because my Tarte Shape Tape is really good, and my Maybelline Fit Me, y'all know I love that concealer, and it's only $5 and it's so freaking good. But this is an alright concealer. So to add a little bit of contour to my face, I'm going to go ahead and use the Anastasia Contour Cream Kit. I used to use this all the time back in the day. Like, look at this one right here. I abused it. But I just completely forgot about it because everybody uses contour sticks now. Like, that's like what's in, I guess, at the moment. But let me go ahead and add a little bit of oil to this because it is very dry. So the shades I think I'm going to use is this one right here and this one. Or no, I think this one right here. Wait, hold on, I'm getting confused. So I'm using this one right here instead, and then this one right here. Let me add a little bit of oil and put it onto my face. Honestly, a lot of these products, y'all, they're so old, so hopefully it works. I don't know at this point. I'm just mixing the oil in the contour kit, mixing these two right here because these are just too dark for my skin by themselves, but when I mix them, it's a little bit better. Alright, so let's go ahead and see how it blends into the skin. I'm just using my beauty blender to pounce everything together. And this is not really contouring my skin. It's kind of just bronzing my skin up a bit because I don't know what it is. I just don't like to contour my face that much. I don't know. I like to go ahead and just use a bronzer because it just looks a little bit more natural for me. And so far so good, y'all. Like, it doesn't look crazy. So the skin is looking decent. I thought it was gonna be a hot mess for a second, y'all, but it's actually looking really good. Now to set my under eyes, I'm using the Tarte x Shayla contour kit. Now the powder in here is a little bit too light for my skin. I think that's why I stopped using it, because it was just way too light for me. But let me go ahead and retry it and see what it looks like. Because if I do add a little bit of bronzer, it should be fine. But it doesn't look terrible. So I'm using this powder just to set my under eyes. You can definitely go ahead and bake with it, but for me it's just way too light to do that with. But I still think it looks pretty good underneath the eyes, you guys. Like, it's kind of like smoothing everything out. Let's go ahead and move on to the eyes. I will come back to the face a little bit later. So first, let me add a little bit of powder. I'm using my Laura Mercier powder underneath my eyes, just in case we do have a little bit of fallout. Just add some powder in here, just to protect all the powder that may fall on the face. Alright, so my inspo for today is from alyssamarieartistry on Instagram, and I do love her work, but she has like this blue liner going on, and I kind of want to go ahead and do that on my eyes too. So the palettes that I've used, or that I'm using today, that I don't normally use, is my Meet the Matte Trimony from, what brand is this again? The Balm right here, my Nubian palette by Juvia's Place, my Anastasia palettes, the self-made palette, and some Wet n Wild palettes. These ones I never ever pick up just because I forgot about them. But first things first, I'm going to go ahead and add a brown in my crease. I do use the Anastasia caramel shade right here. I just think it looks so beautiful, and for every look I have to add a brown. I don't know what it is, but it just never works out if I don't. So just let me add a little bit of that in the crease area. And I'm just going to add a light wash of it. I don't want too much of it in my crease, just a nice little wash. So looking at the picture, she kind of has a red in the outer corner of her crease. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Balm palette. This palette is so beautiful. I don't know why I stopped using it. But I'm going to use the shade Matte Kumar. I think that's how you say it. The one right here in the middle. And just use a pointy brush like so. Dab some of that in there. I do think I remember with this shade, even though it looks red, it kind of comes off a little bit purple on the eyes, which is still fine. But let me just see what it looks like on my eyes first. Hopefully it's like the shade I need. So it's not too bad. It is looking a little bit purple, which is still fine, because when I go ahead and add a darker brown, it will kind of like balance out everything. So I'm basically taking this shade right here in the outer corner of my eye, and then I'm going to go ahead and just drag it in a little bit. So it is looking a little bit purple like I thought it would. So I'm taking this shade from the Juvia's Place palette right here, and it does have a little bit of red in there. Hopefully it kind of like counteracts the purple, because it's supposed to be red, not purple. But let me try and see if it works, because it's just looking a little bit too purple right now. So the brown is helping to counteract that purple, because in her picture it looks a little bit more red than it does purple or brown. So hopefully a little bit later I may go ahead and use another palette that has a red, just to make it look more like her picture. So y'all, I went ahead and bought this palette for Wet n Wild yesterday, and it's called the Fit for a Queen palette. Now look at this color right here. It is so beautiful. It's like a red brown color. So I think this color is a little bit better for the look that I'm going for. Let's see really quickly. Oh yeah, I should have went ahead and used this first, because it is exactly the shade I am looking for. Alright, so moving on to the blue liner, which is the part I've been waiting for. I'm using the Wet n Wild palette in the name Poster Child, and this blue right here on the bottom, y'all, like, it is so pretty. So I'm taking my Morphe brush in the style 4, what's it called? M408. I'm always struggling to read these names, I don't know why. I'm just gonna go ahead and take that shade and just smudge it into like a liner. I'm just kind of scared because I don't know what it's gonna do. I don't know if it's gonna work, but it is very pigmented. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the shade and kind of like flicking it at the end, just to make it into an eyeliner like so, and then I'm just bringing it in. Y'all, I'm so shocked with how good these eyes turned out, because when I first started, I was like, this is not gonna look good. But it actually turned out pretty decent, so I'm pretty happy about that. Now moving on to bronzer, I am using the Shea Moisture Mandalay Dusk bronzer. I used to use this all the time, but it did get discontinued, so I stopped using it because I don't like recommending stuff that is just not in stores for you guys to go ahead and get. But this is such a dark bronzer, you guys. You really have to be careful because it is very, very pigmented. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit to the side of my cheeks and then a little bit on my forehead. So for blush, I'm using my MAC Raizin Blush, and honestly, I don't know why I stopped using it because I love it so much. I think it's because the Anastasia Gradient Blush Kit, that one is just so beautiful, and it has 4 shades in there, so I really don't have to go ahead and use anything else. But y'all, like, look at my skin right now. I just love this blush so much. And last but not least is highlighter. I'm using my Makeup Forever Pro Fusion 2 highlighter, and this is such a nice golden shade. Like, y'all, I am so upset with myself because this is such a pretty shade, and I don't know why I stopped using it. I just have way too much makeup at this point that I forget about a lot of stuff, and my camera is dying, so the rest of the face I'm gonna go ahead and rush through that because I want to get everything in for you guys. But just look at this right now. That is insane. Alright, you guys, so my camera's on 1%, so I have to go ahead and do this really quickly. But the products that I did end up liking was, let's see, the foundation, the blush, the highlighter, and I think that's about it. But at the same time, my face right now, I'm not really loving it. For some reason, it looks a little bit off. So yeah, those are the only products I ended up liking. If you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out. My camera's on 0% now, so let me go ahead and go. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you guys in my next one.